What's up? Welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of Baby Monster's debut single, Batter Up. Normally, I wouldn't review a single. I'd wait for the EP or the album to come out. But in the case of Baby Monster, their first release is incredibly notable because Baby Monster is the new girl group from YG Entertainment. The first girl group they've debuted since 7 years ago when they introduced us to Blackpink. And before Blackpink, it was 21. YG has a great track record of taking their time to develop a girl group, and when they share that group with the world, people pay attention. And Baby Monster has been teased and hinted at for a while now. There was a reality, competition show about who would make the lineup, a lot of build up to this release. And the group is quite young. The average age is only 16. And there's been a lot of starts and stops with Baby Monster. The debut has been pushed back. The seventh member, Ahyun, is not debuting and not on this debut single, but may return in the future. A lot of unknowns with that. And of course, this release is coming at a very significant time for YG because, as we all know, Blackpink is up for a new contract after the first 7-year term has ended per most K-pop deals. And the Blackpink deal is still being negotiated. It sounds like Blackpink will return, but in a new version with a lot of time allocated for solo activities and the like. A lot of attention is being paid to what happens with Blackpink at YG. There are CNBC articles talking about the wild fluctuations in the label stock price in terms of how people are feeling about Blackpink's return and whatnot. It's very important. So Baby Monster, regardless of what happens with Blackpink or not, will be held up as a, paragon of the future success of one of the big four K-pop labels. So yeah, lots riding on the shoulders of these young women, whether that's fair or not. And I have to say, this single Batter Up, which I went into completely blind, I did not pay attention to the reality show stuff, the teasing, or anything like that. So I really didn't know what to expect per se. But I gotta say, this song, Batter Up, it's disappointing. It's a disappointing debut single, that's for sure. I think it's disappointing for a handful of reasons. One of these reasons is that the sound of this song is just kind of tired. And tired in the sense that for two reasons. One, it's very familiar to the general girl crush K-pop concept that's kind of dominated all the female K-pop we've got over the last 5+ years. It doesn't sound fresh. It sounds familiar. And on top of that, the actual song structure choices and general production choices are very familiar for the YG house style of making music. Batter Up very much gives you Blackpink vibes. And of course, that is not the fault of the women in Baby Monster. That is the fault of the label for, thinking their shit doesn't stink, not really adapting. And I think it's unfortunate to release music that already kind of leaves you with a bad taste because it feels like a facsimile of something greater that happened in the past. And just kind of continuing to do the same thing is going to give us diminishing returns, whether that's coming from Blackpink or whether that's coming from Baby Monster. And Baby Monster, unfortunately, also is coming out unfortunately for them, coming out at a time when there's a lot of competition and a lot of love for a lot of new female fourth generation K-pop groups. Obviously, people know, but New Jeans, LE SSERAFIM, the list goes on. There's a lot of competition, a lot of love, but also a lot of sonic pushing the genre forward stuff. New Jeans gets a lot of love for that. Baby Monster feeling like they're a product of the past with their first song is not a positive development. Obviously, it's only the first song. These women are very young, and YG is very invested in them, obviously, so I'm not writing them off by any means. I'm just a bit let down by this song. Specifically, if you listen to the song, I think the way the song gets into itself, the beat drop, gives you that siren. It had my attention in the beginning, and I think that first verse The vocals are quite fun. I think the singing is it's strong in general. I like the sound of the singing, but then you get that very familiar pre-chorus build up into the chorus, and it's like, oh my god, I've heard this so many times. This type of type of song structure in a K-pop song, and then you get to the chorus, and man, this is such a weak chorus, and that stinks. The batter up part, it's lame, man. It is so lame. I've been talking a lot about repetitive choruses and hooks that have let me down otherwise other songs I've liked recently. NCT does this a lot. I did this with Batty. It's common right now. But to me, gosh, the batter up part, it's just so lackluster. There's just not a lot of energy with it at all, which is disappointing because then verse 2 after the chorus the first time around gives you really fun rap verses. I think the rappers, they have some potential here, you know? I mean, do I hear some Lisa vibes? Sure, but that's not a bad thing. Like, I think if you can give me competent flows and fun energy, ride that beat the way they do in that second verse, I think there's potential there. And obviously, Blackpink made their name on the fact that Jennie and Lisa were such strong rappers, some of the best you've ever had in like mainstream K-pop. So that bodes well for sure. In terms of familiarity, though, you get this big outro at the end, and I was like, oh my god, this just reminds me of the way Pink Venom ends. Not necessarily a bad thing. I actually kind of like the song. I think it's one of the more energetic moments of Batter Up, like the horns kind of popping in. But yeah, for me, really, I could forgive the song a lot more if the chorus wasn't really so weak. But the fact that it's a familiar vibe with a lackluster chorus, those two sins together, I just a bit let down. So yeah, I mean, I'll be curious if Ion rejoins the group quickly, you know, like that second song or the first EP at least, whatever. I'm also curious how quickly we get more music from Baby Monster. YG, famously not a group that releases a lot of music. Look at Blackpink, you know. Blackpink compared to Twice, for example, the sheer volume of music is quite stark between the two groups. YG, you know, I mean, really, it's now Baby Monster and Treasure are like the two upstart young groups they have right now. So I'll be curious if they switch up their strategies in any way. Because Hybe, you know, partially due to picking up new labels and just debuting a lot of groups and doing a lot of different things and having their own little sub universes with their different labels, Hybe is just dominating right now. And YG, I feel like, needs to switch up their approach. And part of that goes into the music. So let me know, how did you feel about Baby Monster's Batter Up? Were you let down the way I was? What do you want to hear from them next? Let me know. And for more K-pop reviews, more music reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.